Okay, so for this problem, we are going to do a little recap of what we did this past week, which was confidence intervals for proportions. So, research has shown that the month of September is where most birthdays occur. So, we are interested in finding the true proportion of birthdays in September. So, to do this, we sample 100 people and find that 60% have a birthday in September. So basically what this means is that 60 out of the 100 people said that their birthday was in September. So what we want to find a 95% confidence interval estimate for the true proportion of people who have a birthday in September. And then we want to interpret the interval. Okay, so the first thing to really notice is that since we want to find a 95% confidence interval, we require the formula. And the formula here is p hat plus or minus z star square root of p hat 1 minus p hat all over n. Okay, so here are my or my one formula, but we do have two upper and lower estimates because we have a plus and we have a minus. So my p hat here is going to be the proportion of people who said that their birthday was in September. Now notice that I don't give you how many people said that their birthday was in September out of the total, right? I just actually gave you the percentage here. So this is just going to be 0.6. Okay. We know how many people were sampled, and it's the amount of people that were sampled. In this case, it's 100. And then what else are we missing? We're missing Z star. Now, Z star corresponds with the 95% confidence interval. Okay. So if you remember in the notes, I did give you a number for 95%. And for 95%, the number corresponding with that is 1.96. All right. So now once we have this piece of information, all we have to do is just, plug all that into our formula. So now let me first start with p hat minus z star square root of p hat 1 minus p hat all over n. So we know what p hat is. That's going to be 0.6 minus z star, which is just 1.96 square root of 0.6, 1 minus 0.6 divided by 100. Okay, and let's round this to about 2 decimal places. Okay, so I'm going to put that in my calculator. So go ahead and try putting that into your calculator. And let's see what you get. I got about 0.50 if I were to round to 2 decimal places. Okay, now if I want to figure out my other one, because this is only one part of the interval, what I got to do now is I got to do p hat plus z star square root of p hat 1 minus p hat all over n. So basically everything is the same. The only thing that now what I'm doing is that I'm changing the minus now to a plus. And if you remember in class, what you can do is just go back. If you have a graphing calculator, you can just press second enter. If you have the TI-36, you have to go scroll up, highlight your expression, and then go ahead and just click enter. Before you click enter, you have to change the minus into a plus. So that's basically what you got to do for that one. So now when I put that in my calculator, what I ended up getting was about 0.69. Now notice that there's a 6 here. When I round this up, this actually goes up to about a 0.70. Okay. So my confidence interval estimate is between 0.50 and 0.70. Okay. If you really wanted to change this to a percentage, it will be between 50% to 70%. Okay. So this is where my confidence interval estimate is. Okay, now one thing to also note that right after you write this interval, you do want to say what this interval really means. So what exactly does this mean? So what this says is that you can say we are 95% confident that the true proportion of people who have a birthday in September lies between 0.5 and 0.7, or between 50% and 70%. Okay, so if I ask you to interpret this interval, please do and write it this way. Now notice, some of you guys were actually asking me, well, how do we know how many people this is? Well, notice that since we got 100 people, then in 100 people, the ones that we should expect, or how many of these, how many people will actually have a month of September? Well, you can just take this 100 and multiply it by 50% and 70% if you really want to. But you don't need to do that. That was just thinking at a different, about something differently. Okay, so this is basically what you're doing with confidence intervals. Nothing too bad. Only make sure that you gather your circle what your key terms are. I always write down everything that I know. With this p hat, I'm either going to give you the percentage like I did here, or I will tell you that this amount of people out of this, that was what the sample proportion is. So you might have to divide them out. So, but usually all the information should be there, and then just plug them into the formula. And also remember that this is going to be your lower bound and this is going to be your upper bound. So it's always from lowest to highest. Okay.